There are about 20,000 species of bees in the world. And these thousands of bee species have unique flight patterns and floral preferences, just like girls having unique preferences over clothes. It's really sad to say that all types of bees are in decline worldwide, as many other insects do. In fact, the most familiar honeybee also suffering greatly from colony collapse disorder, in which hives suddenly lose their adult members. Populations of bumblebees and other solitary bees also have steeply declined in many places, largely because of human stuff and global warming. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations states that there are 100 crop species which provide 90% of food needs to the world, and 71 of these are pollinated by bees. In Europe alone, 84% of the 264 crop species and 4,000 plant varieties exist thanks to pollination by bees.
Oh my God! Wow!
See, it's almost impossible to state exactly the importance of pollinators in our ecosystem based on the facts provided earlier. In case, if you missed the high school biology lesson on pollinators, then here, a small explanation for you about pollinators. When a male flower loves a female flower, it invites a pollinator to round out its threesome. The bee transfers pollen from the male flower to the lady bits of female flowers. A few days later, a baby watermelon or apple emerges. Yeah, you got that right. However, would we all die if bees die? How long would humans survive without bees? And also, you might wonder how could disappearance of this tiny little insect could lead to an extinction of human race. Well, before we answer to all these questions, we would like to point out some facts. For now, let's assume all of the world's bees died off. There would be major rippling effects throughout our ecosystems. It's really obvious that there will be no more honey. Of course, if we didn't have bees, we wouldn't have honey, would we? Think about it. No more honey for our tea. No honey for our biscuits or cornbread.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Besides being delicious, honey also has many more medicinal and cosmetic uses as well. Secondly, we also won't be able to find fruits and vegetables, because those things won't grow up anymore. In fact, as we mentioned earlier, there are 100 crop species which are supplying us as foods to majority of the world, and 71 of these are pollinated by bees. Nuts, berries, apples, avocados, melons, peaches, and grapes all need tiny bees for pollination. And also, all you coffee lovers would have to say goodbye to your favorite drink as well. Moreover, an estimated half of the food in malls and grocery stores would disappear just like soap bubbles without mighty bees. Like fruits and vegetables, there will be no more dairy products as well. Much of the food that dairy cows consume is pollinated by bees. Dairy cows requires a complex diet and consume almost 100 pounds of food per day. Their main staple is alfalfa plant, which needs bees to pollinate. Dairy cows are also a big source of beef. So, without them, the cost of beef would also skyrocket. Cotton, a staple of the clothing industry, also would be affected. Can you even imagine a world without cotton? There is a good chance that you are wearing something that is made from cotton, or at least contains some cotton at this very moment. Clothing that contains cotton like t-shirts, denim, underwear, and socks would be gone. Other things like bed sheets, diapers including disposable and toilet paper, are all made from cotton too. While synthetic fabrics are still available, the resources to make them are not as plentiful as cotton, so clothing costs also would rise dramatically. So, as we said, many fruits and vegetables would disappear, and beef would become too expensive for most people to afford. Then, here comes the big question for you all. What we all gonna eat now? It seems humans' diet schedule's also gonna be changed in the post-bee world. Since animals like pigs, goats and chickens eat a diet high in foods that do not need pollination, These would become the main meat staples. Potatoes, tomatoes and carrots also don't rely heavily on bees for pollination. Even so, the harvests for these vegetables would suffer a significant drop. Cooking oils like coconut, almond, canola and sesame oil would also be gone. Yep. It seems now you are kinda getting the daylight. Don't you? Earlier, you didn't even bother too much about the extinction of bees. But now, you might wish a long life for bees and their families. Having said that, if you think we are done and these are the only things which would affect us, then you're wrong. There are many other things too. Humans require a lot of different vitamins, minerals and nutrients to be healthy. Without a diverse diet, malnutrition would become a big problem. Crops that rely on bees for pollination provides a majority of the calcium, iron, fluoride, lipids, and vitamins C, A, and E. The lack of vitamin C could cause weakness, gum disease and skin problems as well. Even though we could survive without vitamin E, our immune systems would become weaker. So, ultimately humans' health would suffer greatly without bees. If all the bees died, humans would become responsible for taking up the slack. In similar terms, humans should become pollinators. This is already happening in China, where a majority of the bees have already died. People take buckets full of pollen and paint the pollen on with a paintbrush. But this could only be done with a few of the plants that require pollination, because there simply aren't enough humans to perform this task. Moreover, since much of our food would become incredibly scarce or require hand pollination, the cost of food would dramatically increase. In fact, this has already happened in Scotland. During the winter of 2012, Scotland lost almost 1/3 of their honeybee colonies, which in turn caused food prices to soar. Imagine how much it would cost if it all had to be hand pollinated. Anyway, now you would have realized the consequences to the humans if all bees went to extinct. Not only that, the curious answer to our earlier questions. If you spend time sifting through fake quotes in the internet, then you'll probably see this. If the bee disappeared off the face of the earth, man would only have 4 years left to live. This line is usually attributed to Einstein, and it seems plausible enough. After all, Einstein knew a lot about science and nature. Hence, there is no doubt that this message is nevertheless true and alarming. In conclusion, if there are no more bees in the world, no more pollination, then no more plants, no more animals, ultimately, no more man.